Hello, everyone. Today is a day I've been looking forward to for a long time to make this video. Basically, when I posted my first review of the Wills, some folks reached out to me and said, "You got to try this Tin Duck Denim company." So I gave it a look and said, "Wow, this is a really comparable and interesting looking jacket." I put an order in on one, and that was about 9 months ago. Uh, Finally got my jacket last week. Again, I did a first impressions video week or two ago. Check that out if you want to know more about my first impressions of the Tin Duck denim. So today I want to talk about these are the two, in my opinion, kind of heavy waxed canvas uh, kings. I know there's a few other brands out there, and if you are one or know of one, put it in the comments because I would love to explore them too. Um, I got into the wax canvas. First, I got some Filson tin cloth, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. What else is there? And then I kind of saw the world of all these other brands, Barber, etc. Um, but it was on a Carl Morosky video, actually, and he got one of these Wills coats, and immediately I was like, that's for me. I just wanted, of course, I'm always like extreme. Got to get the biggest, got to get the heaviest, and got to get 5 copies of everything. I feel like that's kind of how I roll. So I immediately wanted to jump over to Wills. So I started trying to get one for about a year. I was stalking the Chip John website and tried to get in on a release, and they would go live and 15 minutes later they're sold out, and I'd go live and they're sold out. So I've I said I really want one. I went on the secondary market and started watching that, and it took me about 3 months, and then I found this one priced about 100 over retail, so I made the investment. And 100 over retail sounds like a lot, but that included shipping, and I didn't have to play lottery basically to get it. So yeah, anyway, I want to talk to you about both of these a little bit and share my observations, because I know a lot of people, like, I think I don't know if it's cultish, or if it's like one's good and one is bad, or one is better and one is worse. Um, I can say, and I hope that this video proves it, that I kind of look at this as a surf or ski situation. Two exceptionally high quality items. Um, no compromises were made in either one. If I go through them, and I'll try to like hit some of the major details. There are no compromise jackets. They're just so well made. All the materials are great. And they have slightly different, I'll say, creative notes on them. Slightly different hardware, slightly different pattern. So when I really think about like which one should you buy, um, I'm gonna say uh, you'll be happy with either of these coats if you can get it. As far as just an overall heavy waxed canvas experience. If you said, I want I want to get one tomorrow, your only option's eBay. Uh, this has got 6 to 9 months wait. You are guaranteed to get in line. If you go out on the website right now, you can order this today, and you're in the queue. And Jason will keep you updated when you ask where he's at. This one is a little more subject to the release schedule over at Chip John. I think that they are slowly ramping up their production schedules, but not extensively. So, uh, again, getting a new Wills, it's worth trying if you're gonna go for it. But if you're like, I don't know which one I really want, if I'm gonna buy one coat and I'm willing to wait and play the game or whatever to get it, maybe this video is for you, because I'll kind of talk about my experiences with both. Yeah, that might help with either or decision if that's where you're at. But again, I want to state, because if Tin Duck sees this, if Ship John sees this, you guys make fantastic products. They're both great. So I'm not here to cast any shade. I'm impressed with both, and you know, I'm you know, love buying from American-made small companies, which you all are. So you know, I'm just really happy with all of it. So you know, again, just as my disclaimer. Secondly, I should say, again, I bought that on eBay with my own money. I bought this from Tin Duck with my own money. Um, Beyond having some casual correspondence with Jason over at Tin Duck, and not much with Ship John, although I comment on their live streams sometimes. I usually try to like drop some bad dad jokes and uh, stuff. You know, this is like kind of completely independent, no financial incentive with any of this stuff. I just want to share my experiences. So, where should we start? We'll start with the Wills, because the Wills was my first one. When I first got this coat, you know, and I have a video on my channel going through my first impressions. I love it. This is just an absolutely fantastic grenade-proof jacket. Everything that you have heard, the brand promise, like what this jacket should be, the Wills delivers all of that in spades. This jacket is just, it's the real deal. So first let's weigh it. You want to know how heavy this is? All right. Again, the hanger's on it, but with hanger, we're at 6.17 pounds. So it's heavy, 6-pound jacket. The Wills jacket is 18-ounce cotton twill, waxed to 24 ounces. So it's like as heavy as you can get. I know the joke is they can stand up on their own. This one probably could have when it was new. I've worn it in a little bit. You can see a little bit like starting to get some. This light is terrible for this kind of thing. A little bit of stacking, a little bit of patina, and all the rest. But this is a great coat. So yeah, that's the Wills. I'm going to go in more detail, but let's just do the overview first. Next up, we've got the Tin Duck Denim. Oh, retail. 600? 650? Can't remember. On eBay, I got this for about $750. I've seen them go anywhere for between $700 and $1,200, depending on the timing and the sizing. I'm a 2XL in this. Tin Duck, retail, I think right around $500. I can't remember exactly what I paid. There's a few options on here. You can get it in a lighter and a heavier, lined, unlined, heavy lined, etc. So there's a little bit, I want to say between $450 and $525 for their trucker. Then they also have a rider, which is thinner sleeves, gussets for when you ride on a bike, so the sleeves don't like blow around in the wind. I'm kind of glad I didn't get that one because my arms are big. I'm not like trying to act like I'm amazing. It's actually a real problem for some coats. So 24-ounce waxed canvas. This one, you can, in the video, I'm wearing like a forest green shirt. So this is a little bit shade blue and knocked down in saturation. It's green though. It looks, he calls it olive. It is have like an olive hue when you're out in the daylight. 24-ounce, same, well, it's 18-ounce wax to 24. And then, again, the Wills has got a twill cotton liner. The Tin Duck has a wool. I don't know what the ounces on this wool. I think like 12 to 14. I would call it like a, imagine you're wearing like a heavy flannel shirt, not a Mackinaw like Filson-y kind of thing, but more of a, you know, heavy LL Bean wool. Like it feels like that. You know, it's got some heft to it, but it's not overwhelming or overwhelmingly hot. Weight on the Tin Duck. Oops. Turn this on. All right. Weight 5.94 pounds. So we've got 0.2 pounds difference between the two. So the maths. The heavy canvas weighs about the same between the both of them. I could count those ounces of difference into minor patterning differences, hardware differences. Like I think this zipper is a little lighter than that zipper. I think these buttons are a little lighter. Not lighter duty, like cheaper, just don't have as much metal in them. A little bit. Not enough to have a big deal. Plus this one has gussets. This one does not have gussets. Gussets might add a little weight back. So anyway, that's kind of a quick high-level overview. Now let's talk about the patterns. Again, the cool thing about Tin Duck, which you can't do with a Wills, is like, look at me. I'm like a weird size. I'm like a 2XL on top, an XL on the bottom. I've got really long arms. Got a 52-inch chest, but a 36-inch waist. So like stuff tends to not fit very well. And it always is off somewhere. The thing with Tin Duck that I'm just blown away on is he makes these one by one. Jason, that's his name, takes all your measurements. You have a little collaboration on the sizing, and then you get it. And pro tip, because it's a 9-month wait, guess when you order, but double check everything as you get closer to production because things change. If you hit the gym a lot or hit the ice cream a lot, you might need a slightly different size over the amount of time. So that is a huge just differentiator for the Tin Duck. And the fact that that's completely custom and cheaper than the Wills is, I mean, again, you can't go wrong with either from what you get. But if you have a sizing challenge and you don't really fit into a normal sizing situation, you're going to be guaranteed a perfect fit with the Tin Duck. So it kind of tips your buying scale a little bit that way. What else? From a sizing perspective with me, one other thing that I noticed, again, just because of my proportions, and I did want to call this out because it was interesting for me. With the Wills, one thing that I notice is I actually, when I'm bending my elbows and stuff, it does feel tight around my arms. Not like constrictively, like I can't wear it comfortably. But I don't think I would work in the Wills as it's sized. That it would like make it not a work coat for me. And I didn't really intend to wear it as a work coat. But the mobility challenges with the arm, even just the arm size, like kind of knocks this out as a work coat for me. It's durable enough to last my whole life as a work coat, but you know, if I measure the arm here, I'm like 8 1/4, and if I measure it in the same spot on the Tin Duck, it's closer to 9. So just that little bit of extra arm. So figure that's 1.5 inches more arm circumference. Just something to think about. And I'm sure these could be sized as well if you needed a special thinner or thicker arm. Like Jason could probably accommodate that. With the Wills, you're going to get the sizes, XL, 2XL, etc. But, you know, again, most people it's fine. And even though I'm nitpicking about sizing, this coat still fits me great. I wear it a ton, especially in the warmer months now that we're getting out of New York winter. Couple other little sizing notes. I had this one, you can kind of tell, the sleeves on here are about 1.5 inches longer. I got long arms, and I'm trying to be true to the name Trucker. When I'm driving, the sleeves fall right where they should because I extended them a little bit. On this one, the sleeves are kind of right up a little bit. Again, not an issue. Like, it's not blocking me from wearing the coat. But if I'm going to be in and out of the car driving, which I do a lot of, dropping kids off and stuff, this one's great because it always fits nicely whether I'm driving or not. And when I'm not driving, it kind of just stacks a little. So it doesn't feel like the long sleeve problem. Let's talk about hardware. Jason lets you pick whatever you want, basically. You can say, I want black buttons, I want shiny brass buttons, I want antique brass buttons. You could probably use silver if you asked. You got to give him some heads up, and he'll probably help work with you to source whatever. One little nitpick I have is we've got this nice antique brass hardware, but the zipper color is like a copper. It's like a copper color, not an antique brass color. So my guess is that's what Jason had on hand. It's not a problem really. It just, you know, again, like when we think about like perfection, I would call that an imperfection. Again, not a complaint, but again, that's something you probably can talk about and really dial in your color choices on hardware. The snaps are great, heavy metal, just nice snaps. The zipper is a big, beefy YKK. And one thing that I really like about this, kind of hard to zip it that way, but is the zipper starts about, 5-6 inches up the coat. So it's just when you sit down, the flaps just flap and you're good to go. And then there's this extra button when you want to cinch it down. Top pockets have the same buttons. Jason does give you 2 snap options on the cuffs and just a flat cuff. So, again, like not too much to say about it, but that's, kind of your hardware situation. Now, if I jump over to the wheels, Shipjohn is on their A game when they're just designing like an aesthetic top to bottom. I've thought, like with this coat, there was just a huge amount of scrutiny put in things like the hardware and some of the shapes. So I'll call out a couple hardware things and we'll come back to some shapes. So for the hardware, Shipjohn uses these, they call them spun brass buttons, and they do have this kind of spinning, lathed looking kind of effect on them. And I've noticed these buttons are substantial in their construction. I want to say the diameter of them in the grommets is a little bit bigger. Again, I'm not a hardware expert. All the buttons are great, or snaps on both of these jackets. I do feel like these have a little bit more of a thunk to them when you close them. I don't know if that's just because of the material or a different design or whatever. And one thing I noticed immediately was, and again, this is like part of that Shipjohn attention to detail, the zipper pull is, I've never seen a zipper pull like this before. It almost looks like a keychain versus the, traditional like molded YKK. Like this feels like a really high quality zipper that feels like every other high quality zipper in my life. No, I'm not complaining, but that's what it feels like. As soon as I got the Ship John, I was like, that's interesting. A, this is unique and different than all the other zippers in my whole life. I don't have anything like this. And B, I can change this out if I want. I could put a custom machined brass key fob on here. I don't know. So, you know, again, just those, it's a stylistic difference. And, you know, maybe like, again, just a little pizzazz with this jacket's design choices. The other big thing with this zipper is it's got a bottom zip. So you can do that with this. You can order your zipper to have a full length two-way zipper if you want. Ship John does it this way. So you've got your double zip. So when you're driving, you can open the bottom up. It'll ride just like this. Now on a day-to-day, putting it on, taking it off, zipping it up, zipping it down, I do like the single zip more. Even though it's technically less functional, sometimes you just fight with this a little bit. Sometimes these get out of whack, and when you're trying to put your coat on, you've got to thread it through now not one but two zippers. So, you know, again, I'm really just going into the weeds here because these are two Cadillacs. So you can kind of think like, what is important to me as a buyer? Another thing that I noticed that Ship John does that is interesting when we're talking about hardware is, and I'm not going to bring this over for a close-up, in the high wear buttons, which I could see the sleeves being that, there's a little thin leather grommet behind the button or behind the snap, just to alleviate a little of that wear and tear and stress on the fabric. I just see that, and again, that is just such a nice little detail, kind of fit and finish that I really, really like. You know, and again, there's a lot of details on the wheels that, you know, are just very desirable. Things like that. Like, you know, it's something special. Other hardware we'll talk about is tags. Ship John has one little tag here, which doesn't bother me. What I hate, because I'm kind of that like stealth, you know, I don't want a giant label that says Ship John. I just like the little tag, and it doesn't even say Ship John. It just shows the little hook, which is cool because I fish and all that stuff, so it's fine. Doesn't steal any attention or anything. Inside the coat, you can see a serial number, and then they have a nicer patch in here, which I like. You know, again, so it's kind of concealed. The tag on this is just it's a really nice leather actual, and I think there's some kind of like deer leather or some interesting story behind these, which I'm not sure about. And then you got your Made in USA tag right here for legal purposes, I believe, because this is American wool as well. Everything on this coat's American as far as I know. I don't see any reason to believe otherwise. So now we're really diving deep here. Let's talk about pattern. I'm going to talk about pattern. I want to talk about stitching. And again, I'm just a dude. I'm not like a sewing expert guy. But let's talk about the what I can observe. You know, again, as a casual kind of buyer. So it's quite obvious the patterns are different. The Wills has a sewn-on pocket and another sewn-on pocket. The Tin Duck Trucker has a sewn-on pocket and another sewn-on pocket, but they have different design approaches. We have this panel coming down, and then the flap on the pocket is kind of underneath the panel, which it then overlaps the pocket. And this pocket does have like a seam here, and I'm a little curious on what the design process was for this, but the top of the fabric is folded over, and then it's seamed on here very, very neatly. So this seems like a, no pun intended, it seems like a harder way to do it. Just more work, more stitching, more fabric. When you're stitching over here, you're going through like a lot of layers. So, again, just a lot going on here. But say I'm in a rainstorm or something. Well, well, I guess I gotta talk about it as I start. If I'm in a rainstorm, think of your shingled roof. It's gonna hit this seam here and keep shedding the water down, and this seam overlaps, and this seam overlaps until it hits here. So maybe maybe that theory doesn't totally hang up. But if I'm in a rainstorm getting pelted up here, think about that's usually where the rain comes. You've got the right cascade of water. Over here on the wills, if you're in a rainstorm, I guess the rain could collect, or same thing up here, same thing in here. You could. Minor details, but that's what I'm trying to talk through. All the crazy stuff that goes in my brain when I'm looking at these coats. Next thing, we have different shapes. No space between the pockets, space between the pockets. These pockets are bigger. Not significant. Let's measure them. 8 inches. 6.5 inches. This will pretty much fit my whole phone. This one won't fit my whole phone. This one will fit my whole phone. This one will fit my whole phone. So, again, just some differences. Big difference, though. Definitely point for Tin Duck here. When I first got this coat and wore it outside for the first time, it was 30 degrees. Stuck my hand in the hand warmer pocket, and I was amazed, which you can't see here. This pocket is lined with the wool. So this is all wool on the inside, the same wool that's in here. So talk about a pleasant surprise. Just that layer of wool makes this pocket feel 100 times warmer. The wills is unlined canvas on the inside. Very utilitarian, but no liner. So that is a very, very nice add on the Tin Duck. Let's talk about the inner pocket. Really nice accent here. So they bring some canvas along your top, and then you've got a nice big pocket, which, let's do the fake phone test. Phone completely fits in, and I don't have a max, but nice big pocket. And I like that nice little stitch there. Wills, we have the cotton twill with a very well done, again, like, the stitching on this is impeccable. And you have this bar tack kind of stitch, and then foam goes in, and it barely fits. Like, it's almost hanging out over the top. It's fine. My phone's not going to fall out, but I don't have as much room as I have with tin. So just, if you have a giant phone, your phone's gonna fit in the pockets here and not there. No offense, but just think about that. Because we all are inseparable. So, talking about the stitching. Pattern, a little bit more pattern first. Talk about the pockets. You know, and I think about details, like the sleeves. Tin Duck has really, you know, utilitarian cuffs, I would say. Canvas, 2 buttons going into, and they have a twill lining on the inner sleeves. Ship John has got, I don't know why I really like this little point. It just looks awesome. They also have, you know, again, the lining, but they sewed in some, I want to say either lighter canvas, or I think it's lighter canvas. So you're not just having the hard twill rub against your skin. It's going to be slightly softer. Not a huge deal, but it's a nice attention. And I noticed little things like double or triple stitching in certain areas that are, I would consider high wear, like bar tack here. Double bar tack. No, this isn't bar tack. This is several layers of stitching running back and forth. I think. So I don't think those are bar tacks. Still, it's reinforced. It's reinforced. All the stitching's neat. And you gotta remember, like, a guy just made this. Like, it's amazing to think that this is all completely handmade. So I'm sure this is handmade too, but I'm assuming a slightly more production mindset. Like, I know Jason made this. I don't know who made this. So some other little details about the pattern, which a big difference between the two. And again, Tin Duck does make a gusseted version, but this one is the regular trucker. So one other big difference is no gussets, and they have kind of one panel here, one big panel here into your bottom, and then this one's got kind of this V shape, which is similar to here, but then it ends and you kind of get your cape area, if you will. Again, I don't think functionally the seam locations make a big deal. It's just more of a looks thing. What do you like more? But the gussets definitely give more arm reach on the wheels. But again, I sized this coat to accommodate my arm reach, so it kind of renders gussets unnecessary. Now, I'm not going to be able to do gymnastics in this coat, but I can swing an axe and use a chainsaw pretty comfortably. I've tried that already. The wheels, I don't quite have as much mobility, even though there are shoulder gussets. So, I mean, I could go on and on, you know, but when I think about, like, just these little details, you know, again, they're both so well made. Like, everything on the Tin Duck has these double lines of stitching everywhere. On the wheels, sometimes we have double, we have single, we have a single, we have a bar tack, we have a single, we have a single, you know, so they're I feel like they're putting stitches in all the right places. They're just slightly different approaches to doing that. I don't feel there's anywhere here that's lacking reinforcement. I even looked at the armpits, and this is interesting. I feel like when I looked at the armpit on the Tin Duck, you have 4 pieces of fabric coming together, which is, I think, the same way a pair of jeans all comes together. So you have all this coming together, and then you have a double seam, double stitch running on the side. On the wheels, you have 4 pieces of fabric coming together as well, with this single running into this double. So there's a little offset here, but the offsets are identical on both sides. So this is not a mistake. Everything is as it should be. You know, they just treat their seams a little bit differently between the two of them. So finally, you know, again, I'll put them on. Like when I put this coat on, I just feel awesome. So this coat, again, I'm gonna call this a little bit more of a wearing around town kind of fit. I can layer under it, but it does start to get a little tight, especially in the arms. So from my mobility with my sizing, the coat fits well. If I put my arms up, you can kind of see what the sleeves do. Like I have long arms, so that's not Ship John's fault. If I zip it, see, chest is not too tight, the bottom is not too loose, the length is short-ish, but not ridiculous. And one thing I will say point Ship John is just the ergonomics of these pockets. Like you can see, I'm just like, whoop, in. Fits me slightly better. I'll show you the other ones. The ergonomics of these pockets, it's not even the pockets or the design, I'm fighting against the canvas. Like to reach over here and try to get my arm in there, these pockets probably don't see too much use in my life. The one other thing, and I'm not saying there's a quality issue at all, there's a lot of stitching and reinforcement in here, but I do wonder if after years of use, if I did kind of have heavy use, if this is a potential failure point. So I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm saying I do see this as a chink in this coat's armor. Like I feel like there should be something else, a rivet, or I don't know. I just feel like this could rip out in the long term. Particularly if I'm like doing a lot of work and like throwing tools in my pocket, or just do this a million times, maybe. So, but it's not likely to happen in my use case, which is like go outside and do awesome stuff and be awesome. But we'll see. So I am going to be putting this coat to work. So this is going to be my work jacket in the spring when I'm processing firewood and stuff like that. I really want to give it a run. So this coat, it's a little more roomy and it's cut because I told you I want to have more mobility. So it's not, that's why I like the Ship John though, because it's fitted. Like that one is like my going out doing awesome stuff coat. Like yeah, I can get into it and get dirty and work in it and all that stuff. But it's a little tight for all that. So that's my hanging out coat. This is my working coat. Again, see how much more sleeve I have? So even with no gusset, I just have so much more kind of room to work. And also the arms just have more fabric in them. So if I'm layered, I have a lot more, room to work with. I was talking about the pockets. I have to hike my arms up a little bit more to get them in. So not a complaint, just it's a little different angle that my shape fits a little easier into the Ship John pockets. But this one also doesn't have, so you can see how much stitching is up here. It doesn't have that feeling of it's gonna rip out because only that much of it's stitched. There's so much more material holding the whole pocket together. I don't think that this corner is gonna be as big of a stress point, and I'm going more horizontal into it than down like I do on the Ship John because of the pattern. So, again, like in my opinion, the two best heavy waxed canvas coats, this and this, and they are both so good with subtle differences between the two of them. And I just really hope something in this video or transcript or whatever is helpful if you're kind of on the fence between the two. Because again, I just think like you can't go wrong with either one. It's more of what can you get? What about the sizing? All things being equal, do you prefer one style of hardware over the other? Do you like the shape of the pockets one way or the other? Do you like the gussets? Do you like not gussets? Do you like the idea of the motorcycle version of this with narrower sleeves? Do you want a fully tailored coat specifically for your size and needs? Or do you fit something well off the rack because you're not a weirdo like me? So there's so many different kind of things going on that it's easy to overthink it, I guess, because I clearly just provided like 85,000 more things to overthink. But again, these are the two best, and there's still stuff to nitpick for me. But that's what, you know, like, what do you expect? If I wanted to go and like remove every nitpick from everything on these coats, like I'd need like $3,000 to make them, and I'm not gonna do that because it's you know, it's crazy. So anyway, yeah, this is the longest video I've ever made because there's so much just little detail to talk about with these coats. I hope that this has been helpful, and if I said something wrong or made a mistake, you know, I always appreciate feedback. Please stay constructive. You know, I make mistakes. I'm doing this whole 40-minute thing in one take without a script, just kind of spitballing everything here from my memory. So yeah, if you have feedback, let me know. Yeah, I want to get into some other stuff. If I look ahead, one thing I really am curious about and looking forward to talking about is patterning. Because I've said it 10 times, these are the two best waxed canvas coats. There's two features that I miss from my Filsons all the time with these coats, and I'll talk about that in a future video. So yeah, have a great day. Bye.